I got COVID this week, wow, love that for me. Some of the best horror movies ever came from directors who weren't primarily known for horror. Hitchcock, Kubrick, Friedkin, they all seem to be able to take their prior experience in directing, and they approach the language of horror filmmaking in a different and interesting way. Which is one of the reasons why Jacob's Ladder is so bizarre. Adrian Lyne is a fantastic director. Flashdance is a campy cult classic, and Fatal Attraction is a tense erotic thriller. That was Lyne's genre, the erotic thriller. A genre that is underappreciated in my opinion. The push and pull of desire, the danger of giving into temptation, that is what creates tension. And it turns out that having an appreciation for desire and temptation is a major asset when it comes to creating a horror film. The titular Jacob is at a house party with his girlfriend, Jezebel. Jacob is a gentle giant, played wonderfully by Tim Robbins, and you can tell he isn't particularly comfortable here. The music is loud, the partygoers are louder, and the taste of stale sweat is in the air. Jacob starts looking for Jezebel. He starts to get dizzy. Jezebel asks him to dance. He gets bashful, and he starts and stops quickly. Too many people are on the dance floor. As Jacob towers over the crowd, he starts having a panic attack. Figures start appearing to him, and suddenly his uncontrolled id bursts in. Strange monsters are staring at him. Jezebel is groaning against a demon, and Jacob is screaming. He's confused, scared, he's flashing back to bad times, and he passes out while everyone is staring at him in confusion. The scene is horrific bliss, with perfectly timed cuts and a sincere visceral fear under the surface. But the strangest thing about this scene, yes, including the sex demon, is how it is scored by James Brown's My Fang. The latent horniness of this song, with its gyrating grooves and Brown's passionate performance, is a borderline genius pick for Jacob's first freakout, a fear about his inadequacy as a man. And as a viewer, all we can think is, good for her! Jacob's Ladder is a tremendous movie that has a lot more influence than you might realise. Black Swan shares a striking resemblance. Fight Club shares a lot of similar DNA. There is no Resident Evil, there is no Silent Hill without Jacob's Ladder. And a problem with a video like this is that Jacob's Ladder is filled with deeply symbolic imagery. And to not engage with said symbolism and allegory is anti-intellectual in nature. You cannot read Jacob's Ladder literally because it means that you are not engaging with it. This is a film about death and grief, and it uses abstractions to make its point. And that is why this is a recommendation, not an analysis, because Jacob's Ladder deserves to be analysed by you. This is admittedly a bit of a messy film. It is, at times, a horror film, a conspiracy thriller, a romantic movie, and a 70s Vietnam period piece. Unfortunately and infamously, Lyne was forced by the studio to remove 20 minutes of quote-unquote disturbing imagery from the film's last third. So, thematically, Jacob's Ladder doesn't exactly land on its feet perfectly. It is a bit all over the place, and while I certainly wish the film was 20 minutes longer, I think it works that the film is a bit messy. We explore the broken psyche of this Vietnam War veteran as he goes about his life. The psychological nature of the story allows it to feel a bit dreamy, and in these dreamscapes, you can get away with using certain abstractions to make points about masculinity and trauma. Because it is a bit flawed, it can feel intimate, and that makes the scares all the richer. As inspiration for some of the imagery in this film, Lyne claims he borrowed from several different artists. The aforementioned gyrating demon has a xenomorph quality to it. Along with Giger, the works of Francis Bacon are notable. Faceless humanoids writhe unnaturally, screaming without mouths. This particular effect was actually achieved by filming these people at 4 frames a second, and then playing that film at 24 frames. And many of the framing decisions are reminiscent of the photography of John's Peter Witkin. The human form is distorted in many disturbing ways, and while Jacob's Ladder isn't particularly heavy on body horror, it leaves a scar on everyone who watches it. An intense distrust of authority characterizes this film. The cops can't be trusted, the doctors can't be trusted, the lawyers, hell, even Santa Claus will steal your wallet.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry, Merry Christmas!
And while the film goes in strange directions, a la the titular Jacob's Ladder being an MK Ultra style weapon, the military becomes the least trustworthy of all. At least from Jacob's perspective, because it is strange that strangers try to run him over without motive. You begin to wonder if Jacob himself is actually a reliable narrator here. You watch the relationship problems blossom between him and Jezebel. At times, she seems needlessly cold and cruel, and then Jacob's paranoia drives him to reciprocate those feelings in needless ways. This film is about the broken mind of a well-intentioned, kind of sexist man. It holds a mirror up to anyone who finds that uncomfortable. Maybe the world isn't out to get you. Maybe your ex isn't crazy. Maybe you need to accept responsibility for your own actions. And maybe these exact same problems are why his wife left him. Much of this anger stems from unresolved grief, from fallen comrades to the accidental death of his son. Jacob's Ladder has several moments of tenderness amidst several set pieces of bizarre conspiracies and confronting horror. A couple pillow talk about their feelings. Old comrades get back together in a bar and discuss the old days. And in these small moments, we begin to wonder why men just don't talk about these things more. Keeping pain bottled up inside of you is so hardwired into masculinity. You regret the things you don't say, and you regret the things that you actually do. Being emotionally stunted is not glorious, and Jacob's Ladder shows the horror of that in intimate settings, and in Jacob's wider life. This is still a deeply symbolic and human film, 32 years on. Even if the movie doesn't feel whole, the characters are still rich, and the scares are haunting. It meditates on masculinity and trauma in interesting ways, and its unique visual presentation still resonates today. And you should watch Jacob's Ladder, because before death, we are all equal, and you might be more like Jacob than you care to admit. Thank you for watching.